There comes a moment in every person's life when the desire for revenge feels almost impossible to resist. Someone may have betrayed your trust, underestimated your abilities, criticized your dreams, or walked away when you needed them the most. Those painful experiences can leave deep emotional scars that seem to demand justice. Your mind replays the memories over and over, convincing you that the only way to feel better is to prove them wrong or make them regret what they did. But what if that path only keeps you emotionally connected to the very people who hurt you? What if real freedom begins the moment you stop giving your energy to resentment and start investing it in your own future? This powerful shift in perspective is at the heart of many timeless success principles inspired by Dr. Joseph Murphy. Instead of allowing pain to control your thoughts, you could train your subconscious mind to focus on growth, opportunity, and achievement. Every moment you spend dwelling on bitterness is a moment taken away from building the life you truly deserve. Imagine waking up each morning with a renewed sense of purpose instead of carrying yesterday's disappointments into today. Imagine replacing anger with determination, doubt with confidence, and fear with unwavering belief in yourself. That transformation does not happen overnight, but it begins with a single decision. The decision to stop looking backward and start looking ahead. The people who hurt you may never apologize. They may never understand the damage they caused. They may even continue living their lives without thinking about the pain they left behind. Yet your happiness should never depend on someone else's actions or approval. Real strength comes from reclaiming your own mind and choosing thoughts that support your future instead of your past. Success is not built on revenge. It is built on discipline, persistence, gratitude, and a clear vision of what you want to become. Every challenge you overcome strengthens your character. Every setback teaches you resilience. Every disappointment becomes another lesson preparing you for greater opportunities ahead. When you focus on becoming wiser, healthier, more confident, and more successful, you naturally rise above negativity without needing to fight it. The greatest victory is not watching someone else fail. The greatest victory is creating a life so meaningful, peaceful, and abundant that the desire for revenge quietly disappears. Your energy becomes too valuable to waste on resentment because it is fully invested in your personal growth. As you continue this journey, you begin to realize that your greatest achievement is not changing other people, but changing yourself. That is where true power lives, and that is where an unstoppable life truly begins. The moment you decide that your future matters more than your past, everything begins to change in ways that once seemed impossible. It may not feel dramatic at first. There may be no applause, no immediate rewards, and no visible signs that your life is moving in a better direction. Yet something profound starts happening within you. Your attention slowly shifts away from the people who disappointed you and toward the person you are becoming. This is the quiet beginning of real transformation. According to principles often associated with the teachings of Dr. Joseph Murphy, the subconscious mind responds faithfully to the thoughts you repeatedly impress upon it. If you constantly replay scenes of betrayal, failure, and resentment, your subconscious accepts those emotions as your dominant reality. In turn, it influences your habits, decisions, and expectations in ways that keep you emotionally trapped. However, when you deliberately replace those thoughts with images of confidence, abundance, peace, and achievement, your subconscious begins working in harmony with your new vision. This is not about pretending that painful experiences never happened. It is about refusing to let those experiences define the rest of your life. Every successful person reaches a point where they must choose between becoming a prisoner of the past or becoming the architect of the future. That choice belongs to you every single day. You have the power to determine what occupies your mind when you wake up each morning. You can choose to relive old arguments, or you can choose to build new opportunities. You can continue seeking validation from those who failed to appreciate your worth, or you can become so deeply rooted in your own purpose that external opinions lose their influence. This mental discipline grows stronger with practice. Each positive thought plants another seed of confidence. Each grateful moment weakens the grip of bitterness. Each courageous action proves that your circumstances do not control your destiny. As your inner world changes, your outer world begins reflecting those changes in remarkable ways. You become more patient under pressure, more focused on meaningful goals, and more resilient when facing setbacks. Opportunities that once seemed invisible suddenly become clear because your mind is no longer clouded by negativity. You attract healthier relationships because you no longer carry the heavy burden of unresolved resentment into every interaction. Your conversations become more hopeful, your decisions become more intentional, and your confidence grows through consistent action rather than empty words. The people who once doubted you may eventually notice your transformation, but by then their opinions will matter far less than they once did. Your greatest satisfaction will come from knowing that you refused to allow pain to become your identity. Instead, you used it as the foundation for wisdom, compassion, discipline, and lasting success. That is the remarkable power of directing your thoughts with purpose. It is not an act of revenge against others, but an act of liberation for yourself. And that freedom becomes the beginning of a life filled with peace, fulfillment, and unstoppable personal growth. One of the greatest truths you will ever discover is that your mind becomes the direction of your life. Every decision, every habit, every relationship, and every achievement begins with a single thought repeated often enough to become a belief. That is why guarding your inner conversation is one of the most important responsibilities you will ever have. When someone hurts you, your natural reaction may be to replay the event repeatedly, imagining different outcomes or wishing things had happened differently. Although this response is understandable, it quietly drains your emotional energy day after day. Your subconscious mind cannot always distinguish between a real experience and one you continue reliving through imagination. As a result, every painful memory you repeatedly entertain continues producing the same emotions, keeping you tied to a chapter of your life that has already ended. The teachings that have inspired millions through Dr. Joseph Murphy consistently emphasize the incredible influence of the subconscious mind. Whatever you consistently impress upon it eventually becomes reflected in your actions, expectations, and results. This means you are never simply thinking about your future. You are actively creating the mental foundation upon which your future will be built. Imagine the difference between beginning each day by remembering an old betrayal versus beginning each day by visualizing your highest goals. One mindset weakens your spirit before the day even begins, while the other fills you with purpose and determination. Your daily thoughts are like seeds planted in fertile soil. Whether those seeds grow into fear or confidence depends entirely on what you choose to cultivate. This is why successful people become intentional about protecting their mental environment. They limit negativity, avoid unnecessary conflict, and surround themselves with ideas that encourage hope, discipline, and continuous improvement. They understand that every inspiring book, meaningful conversation, healthy habit, and positive affirmation strengthens the mindset required for lasting success. Progress rarely comes from one extraordinary moment. Instead, it is created through hundreds of ordinary choices made consistently over time. Every time you choose forgiveness instead of bitterness, you become emotionally stronger. Every time you choose gratitude instead of complaint, you develop a richer perspective on life. Every time you choose action instead of excuses, you move another step closer to the person you were created to become. The remarkable part is that these small decisions eventually reshape your identity. You no longer see yourself as someone who was hurt. You begin seeing yourself as someone who overcame. That identity changes the way you speak, the way you carry yourself, and the opportunities you attract into your life. Confidence replaces insecurity because it is built upon repeated evidence that you are capable of growth. The desire to prove others wrong gradually fades because your motivation is no longer rooted in their opinions. Instead, it is fueled by your commitment to fulfill your own potential. You realized that every difficult experience carried a hidden lesson. Every setback strengthened your character, and every disappointment prepared you for greater opportunities. In that moment, your greatest revenge is no longer revenge at all. It becomes the extraordinary life you build through disciplined thinking, unwavering faith, purposeful action, and the quiet confidence that no obstacle has the power to define your destiny unless you allow it.